Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I greet you all according to your time and locations. You will be watching this video. Yes, my dear viewers, I am back again with another update. So guys, I have a video here I would like we all to watch. But before then, if you're missing my channel for the very first time, you're highly welcome. Please kindly do well to like, share and subscribe. Leave your thought on the comment section. Let us know what you think about this video and I will see you towards the end.
Clear and are about the issues discussed. I have joining me via Zoom the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade Tutoju. It's good to see you, BKO.
Good evening, Ibrahim. Good to do this with you again.
Great. So let's get talking. The Labour leader, Joe Ajaero, urged Nigerians to get ready for battle and join hands with them in their plan to build a coalition of all Nigerian people because hunger and poverty transcend ethnic and religious boundaries. What's your reading of Mr. Ajairo's call?
I think Ajairo does not pretend that he does not see this administration as capable of solving the problems. For those who, from the get-go, believe that it made sense to remove subsidy, as far as I'm concerned, coming out to oppose subsidy after it inflicted pain and push, after its removal inflicted pain and pushed more Nigerians into poverty is, as far as I'm concerned, high level hypocrisy. Many people supported the removal of subsidy, but they should have known that removing subsidy will come with tremendous cost. Now, Ajairo wants Nigerians to see confronting this regime because of the reforms that it has come up with as a national exercise. As far as it's concerned, this is not purely for labor alone. And he does not believe that the government has any desire to alleviate the pains of the ordinary Nigerian. As far as it's concerned, this government is like a strange strain of Robin Hood that robs the rich, robs the poor to give to the rich. The Robin Hood that everyone is familiar with robs the poor, robs the rich to give to the poor. But Ajairo wants us to believe that this government robs the poor, denies the poor those things that they should be benefiting from, and then decides to enrich the poor. Listen to what he said there. He said, I think they have to buy more bulletproof vehicles for the rich to move around, because when the people cannot get food to eat, they will run to the streets. They are taking away all that the people are trying to benefit from, and they are giving it to the rich. All that the people are trying to benefit from, giving it to the rich. He also said that the government has been playing games with the Nigerian people. Labour is still in talks with the federal government. Remember, after the subsidy removal and the consequential adjustment in fuel prices, Ajero made it clear that the NLC would not negotiate with government, would not go back to its meeting with government unless government reverted to the old petroleum prices. Of course, that would have been ridiculous. Government did not revert to the old prices because government was not going to allow itself to be um, stampeded to go back to the way things used to be. It is unfortunate that many Nigerians wanted subsidy removed because the removal of subsidy was meant to save us from fiscal disaster, fiscal collapse. We were finding it difficult to pay our bills. Yeah, we were even taking loans to pay subsidy bills. But we have to admit to ourselves that the removal of subsidy has pushed more and more Nigerians into poverty. It has brought about greater hunger in our country, and it has led to anger on the streets of our country. No one can deny that except a fool. But this is not the time to make it look like, oh, this is a wicked government. Oh, what this government came to do was simply to inflict pain on the Nigerian people. Sanusi Lamido, the former emir of Kano, said it clearly that the step that the government needed that anybody taking over power needed to take strong decisions, and that at the beginning it will be very painful. We've seen Kenyans too hit the streets protesting over the reforms that President Ruto has come up with. No one should expect that removing subsidy will not inflict pain on our people. Of course, it's going to remove subsidy. And after the removal, of course, going to inflict pain. And after the removal of subsidy, to imagine that we will still be fixing prices, it's ridiculous. Once you've removed subsidy, you've left everything in the hands of market forces. That's the way it's been with other products that have had subsidy removed. Diesel, kerosene, jet A1, aviation fuel, and the rest of them. So insisting that they should go back to the old prices is ridiculous. Nobody will be able to do that. Even the law, by passing the PIA, we already made up our minds that we are going to do away with subsidy, because that law itself prescribed that market forces should determine prices. And it was envisaged that once we are able to do that, there will be greater investment in the sector, because it was reasoned that regulating the sector hampered greater investment by foreign companies into the sector. In fact, some of them were leaving the country as a result of the dagger of the regulation that was on their heads, and the fact that oil theft had become so rampant. So, removing subsidy has its own advantages, just as it has its own disadvantages. Now we can see that more states are earning more money from the distributable revenue from the center. That is FAC. 1.955 trillion was generated in 1 month. We've never had it like that. But the state and the government, the 3 tiers of government agreed that, okay, let us keep some of the money in an infrastructure fund, so that we can then use that to mitigate the impact of subsidy. There is nothing like going back on the removal of subsidy. Subsidy has been removed. Those who have been feeding fat from it for years, there's nothing they can do at this stage. Countries close to Nigeria, our neighbors that have been benefiting from it, now they have to buy petrol based on prices determined by market forces. No more subsidy on petrol. What government needs to do, and do quickly, is to come up with measures that will help ease the pain on our people. And I've been saying repeatedly that if government is serious, this is the time to set up service centers for people to be able to convert their gasoline-fed vehicles to compress natural gas-fired engines because it is way cheaper. According to people, it is about 60% cheaper than the prevailing fuel prices. So it will make even transportation much more affordable to our people. And transporters will find it more convenient to fuel their cars with liquefied petroleum gas and compressed natural gas because those are far cheaper alternatives to petrol. That is what we should be doing. I'm happy that Ogun State has begun that, working with a group of Indians to set up centers where people can have their cars converted to compressed natural gas fired engines. You know, once this is done, it will be way more accessible than what we have now. One of the ways by which our people are suffering tremendously during this period is because of high cost of transportation. And high cost of transportation is also impacting on food prices. So we are facing real problem of food security because of the cost of fueling cars and buses. Then we need to buy a lot more buses. Let's have a situation in which each state of our country, if we can buy like 8,000 buses, share these 8,000 buses to the three tiers of government, 60-seater buses running on compressed natural gas or liquefied petroleum gas, very cheap. Our people will be moved around more efficiently and at a very low cost. We've got to do something about rising fuel prices because we cannot determine prices at this stage. NNPC has issued licenses to not less than 20 importers. We've seen one of the importers bring in about 25 million liters in the past week. So we need to bring in those buses, push those buses out, let them run on compressed natural gas, which is way cheaper than petrol, and then they will be able to charge commuters far lower rates than they are being charged at this time and making life difficult for our people. Then, of course, government has said that it is going to make grains available. I am for conditional cash transfer, but only if it will be transparently done. Only if it will go to the people who need, the poorest of the poor, who need the money the most. We've seen countries do conditional cash transfer, so I cannot dismiss it. But giving 8,000 naira to people, to 12 million families, does not really make any sense because at the end of the day, how much does it come to? We can still do conditional cash transfer higher than what was initially proposed, but the transparency has to be guaranteed. It has to get to the people who need it the most. And then add that to providing grains, staple foods, rice, beans, millet, those foods that Nigerians love to eat, the poorest in our midst, what they love to eat the most. Provide those grains, distribute them at state, federal, and even local government level so that we can mitigate this pain until such a time when we can say, yes, we are, the situation is getting better and better. One of the things that made this situation so bad is that it came at the same time as the flotation of the Nigerian currency. The Naira has slid against international currencies, against the dollar, because the dollar is the medium by which oil transactions are done globally. So with the Naira sliding to about 800 to the dollar, of course it will reflect on the price of petrol. So that is what actually even made it worse, because initially it was 460, the official window. But now in the importers and in the import and export window, which is the window that CBN sanctioned, it is much higher than 460. That used to be the price by which government business and even importation of petrol was being done. So definitely, once once the naira slides to the level that it has uh, gone to now, definitely it will affect the landing cost of petrol. That is what has made it worse. There are people who argue that Ashwaju should not have come up with the flotation of the naira immediately. But the flotation of the naira was another way to put an end to the subsidy regime in the foreign exchange market. So he was bent on solving that problem. And usually, new governments uh, try to come up with their reform, their policies early into the administration, not late into it. So he had his reasons,
Right.
but we have to admit that things have not been funny to Nigerians, and the government will continue to lose face, lose the support of Nigerians if it does not move rapidly, get all the governors involved. This is not a job for the federal government alone. All the
Yeah,
state
because
governors who are now earning much more than they were earning before, they also have to be involved. They also need to come up with palliatives. Look at what the Borno governor has done, buying 80 vehicles, 30 pickup vans, and 50 luxury buses before anybody even thought of anything. Zulum
yeah.
So guys, thank you so much for watching. What do you think about this video? Please kindly drop your opinion down below. I'll see you in my next one. Bye for now.